Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers takes place 6 years after the previous one, and follows Michael Myers as he hunts his newborn great-nephew for a cult that is behind everything in the series. It went through heavy studio interference, and the entire third act was reshot after a bad test screening, which caused the movie to become a giant mess. But the original version, now known as the producer's cut, was eventually released years later. It starts off with Jamie Lloyd, who's 15 by now, but not played by Danielle Harris because Miramax didn't want to pay her $5,000 having a baby in a dungeon somewhere, which the theatrical version never explains, but the producer's cut shows immediately after the events of the 5th movie, mysterious asshole kidnapped her and Michael and blew up the prison to fake their deaths. And he's still an asshole because he takes Jamie's baby. They're doing some ritual with the baby, while Tommy Boyle, or Dr. Loomis in the producer's cut, narrates.
For years he was locked up in Smith's Grove Sanitarium, but he escaped. One by one, he killed his entire family.
No, he didn't. He only went after his sister when he escaped. Anyway, this nice lady helps Jamie escape, but doesn't go with her and gets killed by Michael. Seriously, why didn't she leave? But Jamie escapes and steals a car. How she knows how to drive, I'll never know. Oh hey, the Myers house sold to Laurie's uncle, and his son Danny has a nightmare about mysterious asshole telling him to kill. So his mom comes in and makes him feel better. Because that sign won't be used later. There's some famous radio hosts discussing Michael Myers' killings when Tommy Boyle from the first movie calls, and is played by Paul Rudd because Miramax couldn't figure out how to contact Brian Andrews. By the way, Dr. Loomis is retired and living in a cabin, and gets a visit from his old colleague Dr. Wynn, who he had like a 30-second conversation with in the first movie, and then was never seen again, and is not played by Robert Phelan because who the hell knows. Honestly, good on them for remembering him, because I sure as hell didn't. If you're wondering why Loomis's face isn't burned anymore, the theatrical cut never explains it, but the producer's cut says he had plastic surgery because he was tired of scaring children. Anyway, Wynn wants Loomis to return to Smith's Grove, but Loomis says no. Meanwhile, Jamie goes to the bus station where she calls the radio to warn people that Michael Myers is coming, so that Loomis and Tommy can just so happen to find where she is. And she hides her baby in the bathroom and then bails to a barn somewhere, so Michael can kill her by throwing her onto a corn thresher and turning it on, which is a huge dick move. Especially since in the producer's cut, he just stabs her once and walks off because they need her alive for something else later. But back to Haddonfield, where Laurie's uncle John abuses his daughter because he's mad she got pregnant and left for 5 years or something. It really doesn't matter, but this causes Danny to threaten John with a knife, because in the producer cut, he hears a voice that tells him to.
Danny. You shut up and stay out of it.
Kill for him.
Please don't.
But in the theatrical, it doesn't have that, so I guess he's just a psycho. But Kara leaves with her friend.
Happy Halloween, Mrs. Blankenship!
Best part about living in that boarding house is that crazy old lady wouldn't hear a truck drive through her living room.
Just keep that in mind for later. Tommy is listening to a recording of Jamie's phone call to the radio show, and finds where she was based on an announcement that sounded during the call, even though there was no one else in the building when she was there. Alright, he goes to the bus station and finds this blood trail. Wait, how did no one notice this blood trail that has been there for hours? Anyway, Tommy follows it and finds Jamie's baby in the cupboard. Well, they found Jamie. In the producer's cut, she's still alive, so they take her to the hospital and Dr. Loomis and Wynn follow them. But in the theatrical cut, I don't know why they're there, but Tommy finds Loomis there and tells him he found Jamie's baby. And then he runs off, and Loomis goes to warn the Strodes.
I beg of you, don't let your family suffer the same fate that Laurie and her daughter suffered.
Laurie died in a car accident. Her death had nothing to do with Michael Myers. Why does no one remember this? This makes Mrs. Strode want to leave, but Michael kills her with a hatchet. Kara gets home and can't find her mom. I wonder why that would be. But she does find Danny hanging out with Tommy and the baby. And they all go to Danny's place with the really old caretaker, where he explains what runes are and that the symbol Michael has tattooed on his wrist is the symbol of death known as Thorn.
According to Celtic legend, one child from each tribe was chosen to be inflicted with the curse of Thorn. The sacrifice of one family meant sparing the lives of an entire tribe.
So the Myers were a sacrifice? I guess. Okay. So Michael would have had to have help for someone close to him who's not Loomis from the beginning. Gee, I wonder who that might be. The producer's cut has a flashback of Jamie tied up in the dungeon and something about Michael. Then mysterious asshole shoots Jamie in the hospital. But the theatrical version skips all that because she's already dead. Oh good, Danny's with the creepy old lady and she's telling him the origins of Halloween. That's not gonna go wrong at all.
Do you know why we celebrate Halloween?
Because that's when we go trick-or-treating and get candy.
Well, yes, but...
Isn't she supposed to be deaf or something?
He hears the voice, you know, just like the other boy that lived in that house.
No, he doesn't. He hasn't heard because they cut all of that out of the theatrical version. So now this line only makes sense in the producer's cut. Anyway, Mr. Strode comes home drunk and hears the washer acting weird and finds bloody clothes. Then Michael stabs him into the circuit board, which doesn't electrocute Michael for some reason, but does electrocute Strode. In the producer's cut, he just dies, but in the theatrical, it electrocutes him so bad, his head explodes. Like, what is that for? Why did they add this? Oh look, the radio host is in Haddonfield, but he just gets killed, so I don't know what the point of that was. But Tommy sees this little girl dancing in blood.
Mommy, it's raining red. It's warm.
Why does she think this is rain? What the f is wrong with her? So now he knows Michael is back. Well, Michael kills Kara's brother and his girlfriend in the Meyer house, and Danny goes there because in the producer's cut, the voice tells him to, but in the theatrical, he just wanders off. So Kara heads over there, gets the classic body discovery montage, and brings Danny back to the boarding house. No one was watching the baby, so someone took it, and it turns out Dr. Wynn is mysterious asshole, and the deaf caretaker is part of the cult. Wait. Tommy knew about runes and the thorn symbol and has lived in this boarding house for years, and he never once noticed this old woman had it tattooed on her wrist or even questioned it? Really? Whatever, Kara decides it's a good idea to jump out the second-story window and immediately gets caught. So all the characters gather at Smith Grove's sanatorium, where in the producer's cut, Wynn explains that he acted as a guardian to Thorn and Michael as a way of trying to help the world through sacrifice, and he wants Loomis to now be Michael's new guardian. But in the theatrical version, none of that. He's just evil. Fuck you. Tommy then finds Kara in a cell, but the producer cut has an entire ritual scene with Kara where she talks about Jamie's baby.
Michael? You know whose baby it is, don't you? The baby is yours, isn't it? Isn't it, Michael?
Wait, what the fuck? Jamie is Michael's niece. You're telling me they were gonna make the son an incest baby? Holy shit. No wonder they cut this out of the theatrical. What the fuck? Tommy finds her in a cell and they escape, and find Danny with the cultist, who Michael kills for seemingly no reason, even though they should be protected from the thorn curse because the theatrical version doesn't explain anything that is going on. After a chase scene with Michael, they all end up in some room, where Kara and then Tommy beat Michael with a pipe and then just leave. To where in the producer's cut, Tommy uses the runes, the thing that he's been studying, and the theme of the movie to stop Michael. So they're all about to leave, but Dr. Loomis stays behind to take care of some business. In the producer's cut, he checks on Michael, but it turns out to be Dr. Wynn under the mask, and then the thorn tattoo gets transferred to Loomis, marking him as Michael's new guardian. But since Donald Pleasence unfortunately passed away before they began reshoots, they changed it to Loomis going to check on Michael, but only his mask is left and Loomis is screaming in the background, implying Michael killed him, I think. This movie is a mess, and it's mostly due to studio interference. They had the movie mostly done, but then it had a bad test screening and the studio heads demanded reshoots and a new ending, which caused the entire third act to be reshot and made no sense in the context of the movie. Like Michael killing the cultist for seemingly no reason, the whole room plot being completely abandoned, and the cultists not wearing their ceremony robes. In fact, Bob Weinstein, the head of Miramax at the time, hated the robes so much, he literally screamed at the director during a phone call to get rid of them so loud that the rest of the crew could hear him. This made Chappelle so mad he told Mitchell Ryans to say the Halloween's over line as a way to say that the producers ruined the film. To make matters worse, Donald Pleasence passed away after complications from a heart valve replacement before reshoots began, so they had to find ways to use footage from what he had already shot and use a body double for other scenes. Personally, I prefer the producer's cut over the theatrical version. It has a more cohesive plotline, actually shows Danny hearing the voice Michael heard, and uses the runes until the end. I do find the rune storyline kind of dumb, but at least stick to your dumb storyline until the end rather than abandoning it with no explanation. The acting is hit and miss. Donald Pleasence is great as always as Sam Loomis. He has a way of embodying the character of Dr. Loomis. From the way Loomis shows compassion for the people Michael is hunting to how he fears Michael, but yet you can tell deep down he truly cares for him as a patient. And Donald Pleasence was sick throughout filming too. In a way, his version of Loomis is the only constant throughout the original timeline, aside from 3, which is its own thing. And I would argue his version of Loomis is more iconic than Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode. You could tell he really enjoyed playing Dr. Loomis. In fact, while on the movie bus one day, Pleasence told George Wilbur, who plays Michael in Halloween 4 and 6, that he loved playing Dr. Loomis and planned to keep making Halloween films, which he did, right up until the day he died. Paul Rudd is okay as Tommy Doyle. I find it so odd he's in this, but everyone has to start their career somewhere. He's really good at acting awkward, but he also does it when Tommy is interacting with Michael, which takes away from the scariness of the scene. Marianne Hagan is alright as Kara Strode. She's good at showing care for Danny and concern when he's acting like a psycho, but she's not believable when pretending to be scared. Her scream when the cultists are chasing her is hilarious, and it's not supposed to be. The visual effects have improved from the previous 2 movies. The blood effects are fine. They use practical effects, which was standard for the mid-90s, and it looks pretty good. Michael Myers' mask looks so much better. It no longer looks like something they bought from a dollar store, and has the quality of the original mask. Although at times it does look like it's too big for the actor's face. This really is a case of a movie being ruined by studio interference, but at least the original version was eventually released. I'm gonna miss Donald Pleasence as Dr. Loomis in this series. He really is a great example of dedication and doing what you enjoy.
If you want to see an uncensored version of this video, or any of my other videos, check out my Patreon. If not, I appreciate you watching my video here too. Don't forget to do the YouTube stuff, and thanks for watching.